Hey there, this is Matt with SpeedWeightLossBook.com, and today is part 2 of my 4-day 800 calorie weight loss experiment. There we go. I'll get through it. I want to remind everybody first that if you go to SpeedWeightLossBook.com, you can read all of our blog posts, and as well as now we have speed weight management coaching available. It's not some program we stick you into. It's not a cookie cutter thing. It is specifically Jeff and I coaching you to your needs, exactly what you need to get to your weight loss goals. Okay? So let's get back to the experiment. If you missed part 1, find it somewhere. It should be on the videos, the recommended videos or related videos on YouTube. And if you're reading this on the blog, just go to the homepage and scroll down. It should just be a couple posts behind. You can find out why I did it and how I did it and all that good stuff. So I want to talk a little bit more about the measurements I got. I mentioned in part 1 the Tanita scale. Excuse me. The Tanita scale that I used uses bioimpedance for the measurement. That means that hydration levels will throw off results. So, and this is true, and this is something we should learn for you specifically too, if you use this type of body fat method. If you are well hydrated, a bioimpedance scale or body fat measurement system will most likely skew your results toward a lower body fat percentage. So, in an experiment like mine, when I started, I was pretty well hydrated. So when you're well hydrated, the scale thinks you have more muscle tissue or more lean tissue. At the end of 4 days of doing 800 calories, very low carb, I was most likely less hydrated just because of glycogen storage. So glycogen is sugar that's stored in your muscles and liver, and mostly. And when you store that, it stores with water. When you lose that muscle glycogen and don't replenish it on a low carb, very low carb plan, that water goes with it, and now the scale doesn't see as much water, so it thinks you have less lean tissue. So if that doesn't make sense, email us or leave it in the comments. We'll try to explain it again. Okay. So at the end of my 4 days, if you remember the results in part 1, my body fat actually went up according to the scale. I think that was probably inaccurate. I'm not trying to explain it away, but I could definitely see some lines of my abs that I couldn't see before. I know that's incredibly scientific, but so I definitely lost some fat, and I don't think I lost that much lean tissue, not in 4 days, for my body fat to go up an entire %, I think it was. So I just wanted to explain that because that's pretty important. So had I used a different method, maybe like a skin fold caliper pinch method, or even an ultrasound method that I have by Body Metrics, maybe it would have been a more accurate test. But so in hindsight, I probably should use something else. But regardless, this is something. This is good that this happened because we can learn something about the scale. So anyway, you shouldn't be using body fat percentage as a short-term measurement anyway. It doesn't change that quickly. The bioimpedance method is definitely skewed by hydration. So you can learn from my mistake. Don't use it as a short-term measurement. Don't measure your body fat percentage. Definitely not every day. Not even really once a week. I would recommend maybe once a month, especially and even still only if the scale is moving. If it's not moving, don't worry about body fat percentage. Again, it's a long-term trend, so treat it that way and measure it that way. Also, I want to describe what happened after the experiment. So I started Monday morning. I ended actually on a Friday morning, my last weigh-in. And so it was just 4 days. Man, afterwards I wanted to eat everything in sight. So, and I didn't restrict myself. I didn't say, okay, after the 800 calorie days, I'm going to go do 1,500 calories and work my way up. I just said, I'm just going to stop and see what happens and allow myself to eat whatever I wanted. I'll tell you, actually, I didn't allow myself to eat whatever I wanted because I probably would have gained like 15 pounds in a couple days. My appetite was incredibly high. Now, for someone like me, I mean, that's a complete mind game because I know what's going on or what's supposed to be going on with things like leptin and stuff like that. So there's this hormone, if you don't know, called leptin, which regulates appetite. And when you lose weight, you get a decrease in leptin, which increases your appetite. In fact, coming up on the blog, I'll be doing a little review of a weight loss study, which was pretty cool when they used leptin to modify people's appetites. But the next couple of days, I mean, by the next Monday morning, so just 3 days later, I was definitely back up to my original weight, just by kind of letting my appetite regulate what I was going to eat over the weekend. And just obviously taking in some carbohydrates as well, probably restoring some glycogen and water and stuff like that. So what can you learn from this part? Well, and this is something we probably talked about before, if not, it's very important. When you go on a weight loss plan, you need to plan past your goal. Okay, this is very important. So let's say your weight loss plan starts on January 1st, and you have it set up so that you get to your goal on May 15th. All right, your weight loss plan doesn't stop there, because if you just stop your plan and you go back to letting your appetite regulate your food intake, you're most likely going to gain some weight back. You need to actually plan a maintenance phase, probably for a good chunk of time, where you're still measuring your body fat, or still measuring your weight on a daily or weekly basis to make sure that you're staying at your goal weight. So in other words, if you get to your goal on May 15th, plan until August or September or heck, the next January, to make sure that you're maintaining your weight. If you just stop paying attention to everything, you're probably going to gain that weight back. It's just the way it works. Now, over time, you'll get used to what it feels like to be on that maintenance period, and it's still a good idea to monitor your weight to make sure you don't gain anything back. You know, maybe give yourself some wiggle room so that if your end goal is, I don't know, 170 pounds, you know, maybe give yourself 5 or 10 pounds wiggle room, where if you ever get to 175, you know, you've got to, okay, tighten things up a little bit, you know, pull in the reins and watch your food for a couple of days and make sure you get back down to the 170 mark. And that's the way people maintain a new body weight for the long term. You know, they keep monitoring it, they keep an eye on it, so to speak. Don't obsess over it, but just keep an eye on it and know when you've got to kind of tighten things up a little bit. So those are the two things I really wanted to go into, just a little bit more explanation. Again, there will be a new post coming out about leptin. So two things you learned was, don't measure your body fat too frequently, and especially if you're using bioimpedance, understand that hydration is going to throw that off. So try to measure at a consistent time. You know, if you usually cheat over the weekend and you take in a bunch of carbs and salt and stuff that's going to help you make you retain water, don't measure on Monday mornings. Measure on Wednesday or Friday mornings when you've had a normal week, to kind of balance all that out. And don't do it every week or every day or anything like that. Measure once a month, body fat, I would say. So, and then two, when you make a weight loss plan, don't just stop at your goal. Make sure you plan well beyond that, and you plan a maintenance phase, and you still monitor your intake during that maintenance phase, okay? So this is it for my part 2 of the 4-day 800-calorie weight loss experiment. It was interesting. And I wanted to eat everything in sight when I was done, but now I think I'm back to normal. So let's see what experiment I can come up with next. And if you have any ideas, just leave it in the comments or shoot me an email at matt@speedweightlossbook.com, and I'll do more self-experimentation. I'm always down for that. Okay? Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.